Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. US Open 2025, Venus Williams faces stern test in round 1. Coco Gauff up against Ajla Tomljanovic, defending champ Jannik Sinner, to meet Vic Caprina. Venus Williams faces a tough opening round match in the US Open return. The two-time singles champion, who will feature in her home Grand Slam tournament for a record-extending 25th time, will take on Czech star Karolina Muchova in round 1. After crashing out in round 1 of the reimagined US Open Mixed Doubles Championship on Tuesday, August 19th, with Riley Opelka, the 45-year-old tennis legend is hoping to pull off an upset against the number 11 seed. 2023 US Open champion Coco Gauff, who is seeded third, will open her campaign against Australia's Ajla Tomljanovic. Meanwhile, Wimbledon champion and second seed Iga Swiatek is up against Emiliana Arango. In the men's singles draw, top-seeded defending champion Jannik Sinner will face Czech player Vic Caprina, while his Spanish rival Carlos Alcaraz is set to meet Opelka in the first round. 2025 US Open draw, Novak Djokovic up against Lerner Tien, Victoria Mboko to face Barbara Krejcikova. Of the standout ties of the opening round, there is an enticing matchup ahead for 24-time Grand Slam winner Novak Djokovic. The reigning Olympic champion meets home hope Lerner Tien, who is building a name for himself with 4 top 10 wins this season and now takes on the 7th seed. For 2014 US Open champion Marin Cilic, he will face one of the year's stars in the making in Alexander Bublik, the world number 24, with 3 ATP titles in 2025. Elsewhere, Olympic bronze medalist Lorenzo Musetti faces Giovanni Pesci-Pericard. Defending women's singles champion Aryna Sabalenka is chasing a first major of the year, and she begins her title defense against world number 109 Rebecca Mazarova of Switzerland. Meanwhile, 2021 US Open champion Emma Raducanu will play a qualifier to be determined. Canadian starlet Victoria Mboko comes into the US Open as the Canadian Open champion and a career high of 24, making her main draw debut at Flushing Meadows. She has a mouth-watering matchup against Barbara Krejcikova, Olympic gold medalist and former Wimbledon champion. In round 1, the US Open singles first round begins on Sunday, August 24th, and runs over 3 days across 24 to 26 August. The draw for the 2025 US Open landed with the force of a perfectly struck serve, bold, surprising, and rich with narrative potential. In a year already brimming with compelling stories, the opening round promises fireworks from the first ball. At the center of attention are 3 names that span the spectrum of tennis generations: Venus Williams, the timeless icon, Coco Gauff, America's present and future, and Jannik Sinner, the defending men's champion looking to cement his reign atop the sport. Each of them will begin their journey against opponents that could just as easily steal the spotlight. Venus Williams, the ageless wonder, meets a modern test. If tennis were a poem, Venus Williams would be its refrain, familiar, resonant, and powerful with each return. At 45, Venus returns to the US Open not as a sentimental footnote, but as a competitor. Her wildcard entry raised eyebrows earlier this summer, but those who followed her recent form know better than to count her out. A quarterfinal run in Charleston, a hard-fought 3-set battle with Aryna Sabalenka in Montreal. Venus is not simply participating. She's chasing something real. Her first-round opponent? Daria Kasatkina, the crafty, counterpunching Russian, who's as mentally tenacious as she is unpredictable. Ranked number 12 in the world and fresh off a title in Cincinnati, Kasatkina has a reputation for dismantling power players with her angles, spins, and soft hands. She's no stranger to top-tier matchups and will relish the chance to spoil Venus's swan song in New York. But Venus, with her rocket serve and legendary poise, won't go quietly. This is home. The US Open gave me my first break. Every time I step on that court, I feel 20 again, Venus said with a smile during her pre-tournament press conference. The atmosphere at Arthur Ashe Stadium will be electric. A night match seems inevitable. And if we've learned anything in over 2 decades of watching Venus, it's this: when the lights go up, so does her game. Coco Gauff versus Ajla Tomljanovic. a clash of fire and fortitude. The last time Coco Gauff played in front of a New York crowd, she walked off with the trophy. The 2024 U.S. Open champion arrives in Queens carrying the weight of expectation and wearing it like armor. Now ranked number 3 in the world, Coco is no longer the fearless teenager of highlight reels, but a refined competitor, wise beyond her 21 years. Her first-round assignment is a tricky one. Ajla Tomljanovic, the Croatian-Australian battler who's made a career of disrupting the best-laid plans. Though injuries kept her off the radar for stretches of 2023 and 2024, Tomljanovic's fitness and form have returned just in time for a marquee showdown. She's experienced, tough, and she never gives you a point for free. Gauff noted during practice, "I'm going to have to be aggressive from the first shot." The matchup is intriguing. Coco's speed and topspin against Ajla's courtcraft and grit. Both are known for their tenacity, and the match may well come down to mental resilience. With a packed stadium and a nation watching, this could be the beginning of another magical fortnight for Coco, or the latest in a long line of shocking opening round exits that make the U.S. Open uniquely unpredictable. Jannik Sinner begins title defense against unknown quantity Vit Caprina. On the men's side, defending champion Jannik Sinner enters the tournament with the calm intensity of a man who has seen it all and won it all. After lifting his maiden Grand Slam title here in 2024, the Italian has only grown stronger. Now world number 1, with titles in Melbourne and Rome under his belt, Sinner is the standard bearer for the post-Big Three era. His game, built on laser-flat ground strokes, surgical precision, and a newly weaponized serve, has evolved. And so has his aura. But in Flushing Meadows, danger often wears an unfamiliar face. Sinner's first-round opponent is Vit Caprina, a 20-year-old Czech qualifier who's never played in a Grand Slam main draw. That, however, might be his greatest advantage. No pressure, no fear, just fire. Caprina has a game as wild as his personality. His forehand is a cannon, his movement borderline acrobatic, and his demeanor unpredictable. Think of a young Monfils with the confidence of Nick Kyrgios and the hair of a late 90s rock star. "I've been dreaming of this my whole life," Caprina said after qualifying. "I know who Jannik is, but he doesn't know who I am. That's my edge." Whether it's an edge or a reckless boast will be answered on opening day. But if Caprina can harness his energy and crowd engagement, we may have an electric upset in the making. Other notable first-round matchups. The draw hasn't only blessed the headliners with tough opponents. The entire field is ripe with compelling narratives. Carlos Alcaraz, seeded second, will begin against the mercurial Benoit pair, who's making a surprise return after nearly retiring in 2024. Expect flair, frustration, and possibly a racket flying into the night. Iga Swiatek, fresh from reclaiming her dominance on clay and grass, opens against American wildcard Robin Montgomery. It's a classic test of raw talent versus relentless polish. Francis Tiafoe, the crowd favorite, will face off against Holger Rune in the most brutal men's first-round draw. That could be a 5-set epic waiting to happen. Emma Raducanu, attempting another comeback from injury, has drawn China's rising teen Phnom Wong Sinew. The pressure will be intense for both. Legends and legacies. As the first-round buzz builds, there's a palpable sense that this year's U.S. Open is more than just a tournament. It's a crossroads. For Venus Williams, it may be the final time she graces Arthur Ashe as a player. For Coco Gauff, it's a chance to prove her reign is no fluke. For Jannik Sinner, it's an opportunity to begin a dynasty. But tennis, ever the disruptor, rarely follows a script. Rain delays, line calls, and rising stars all conspire to rewrite expectations. By the time we reach the second week, a new name may dominate headlines. A breakout performance, a Cinderella run, a final match under the New York lights. We've seen it all before, and we're hungry for more. Final thoughts. A tournament like no other. The U.S. Open is the grandest circus in sport. A collision of swagger, sweat, celebrity, and sheer talent. The noise is deafening, the lights blinding, and the stakes monumental. It's the only slam where the crowd is as much a player as those on court. In 2025, as Venus makes what may be her final walk, as Gauff battles to defend her turf, and as Sinner begins his reign, one thing is certain. We're in for a tournament that will etch itself into tennis lore. So lace up, buckle in, let the stories begin.